Hello and welcome to IABM TV. So I'm delighted to be joined by Bruce Swail, CEO at GatesAir. Bruce, it's great to see you.
Thanks, Ben. Good to meet you.
So, Bruce, the US Spectrum Repack reached a significant milestone on Friday as its 10th and final phase of facility transition came to a close. A lot of new TV transmitters have been put online over the past 2 years in North America, and the largest percentage are from GatesAir. Tell me how you help broadcasters handle such a monumental undertaking and what comes next after Repack.
Sure, it's a timely question and certainly very relevant. We've been very busy, as you can imagine. It's been a few years now of very high capacity for us. We've delivered millions of watts of transmitters and hundreds, if not low thousands, of sets of equipment to all the broadcasters here throughout the US. Our factory had to scale to 400% its typical capacity to meet the peak demand. So it required a lot of planning up front. We were very busy well before the first transmitter shipped. We had a new product design that needed to be completed and verified, and all the quality checks and validation work was done. And then we had to get busy with forecasting the demand and layering in the capacity, ensuring the supply chain was ready and could accommodate our uptick in demand. So I'd like to say it was just one or two things, but it was a checklist of about 1,000 line items that we had to go through. And I'm very proud of the team. We met all the demand requirements. We kept our quality strong. And in a lot of cases, we install the equipment too. So it's not entirely an equipment manufacturing exercise for us. We actually commission and proof and install all the equipment in the field for several of our customers. So it was a concept through to on-air kind of activity for us in many cases, and it was really a terrific outcome for us. We enjoyed it. We were busy, as I say, but we enjoyed being busy, that's for sure. In terms of what's next, you might have heard we acquired a company a little over a year ago in Italy, a company called One-Tastic. We acquired them primarily for the international markets. It was our opportunity to layer in a new family of products, more in tune with lower power TV, which tends to be the case in some of the international markets. The US is a bit of a unique market, and it tends to be very high power transmitters. And this company, One-Tastic, had a number of products. They were very innovative. They had a tremendous R&D capability. And so we came to terms, as I say, about a year ago and closed on a transaction. For the last year, we've been busy completing some of the projects. We're participating in tenders all over the world. We're developing a few world first kind of products, new offerings that really haven't been done before. Things such as pole mount transmitters, relatively low power, but self-contained units that go out in the environment, in the outdoors, and just provide fill-in or gap coverage for a lot of broadcasters. So that's one of the new products where, it's primarily focused on TV, but we also do some DAB products through this group as well. So that's really where our shift is now, with the Repack starting to wind down. There's still follow-on business for Repack, and there's the low power wave in the US that will continue for a couple more years. But you're quite correct in that the high volume wave is coming to an end, and so our attention has sort of shifted internationally. In the same period of time as we've been working this Repack and serving that market, we've restructured our international go-to-market team. We've expanded it, grown it, brought a lot of new faces on board, and that was in anticipation of our post-Repack activities that we would be concentrating on international markets, and so that team is now fully in place. They have been now for at least 3 quarters, and we're looking for some. We expect some good things from them, and our pipeline's massively grown since we brought these folks in. We've got some work to do to close some business, but and certainly the COVID situation has kind of complicated that of late. But we're still very excited about the possibilities for us, and really concentrating on the international market going forward.
Excellent. That's good to hear. So, Bruce, as broadcasters around the world are planning to update their digital TV offerings, ATSC 3.0 is getting a lot of global interest, especially as trials are moving full steam ahead in the US, branded to consumers as NextGen TV. Can you speak about GatesAir's role in getting ATSC 3.0 ready for the masses, as well as its continuing support for other digital standards like DVB T2 and ISDB TV?
Sure. Yeah, it's a bit of an alphabet soup, isn't it? It's we like to think we're protocol agnostic here at GatesAir. We support all the major standards. ATSC 3.0, you know, we've played a principal role in that with the industry. We've had staff engineers participate in the standards activities and some of the industry boards. We helped drive and ratify those standards. We were an early developer of prototype and pilot systems to demonstrate for technology proofing and demonstrating. And we're active in a number of live systems throughout the US today. And all of our systems that shipped under the Repack program are software. In fact, they can switch on the fly to ATSC 3.0. So every one of our customers has expectation to migrate to ATSC 3.0 eventually. I think, you know, in this, we're still looking for the ultimate solution that for ATSC 3.0. Some say it'll be ultra high definition TV. Others will say it'll be, you know, a very narrow casting of to the local consumer and fine tuning the advertising content. But maybe through COVID that we've learned another one, and perhaps the schools might start looking at ATSC as a way to deliver educational content on a very localized basis. So, you know, I don't know, we don't know exactly how this will play out, but there's certainly a lot of interest. It's powerful technology, and we're fully supportive of it. And, you know, I think we're starting to see the gradual turn on of it. And I would think over the next few years, it'll come a lot more into the mainstream, and instead of being pilots and test markets, it'll be mainstream in some major markets, and that'll be the tipping point, and it'll be a here and now thing. In terms of the other protocols, we support them all, as I've mentioned before. We don't different regions have different protocols for different reasons, and so we don't really think a lot about you know, why not unify the whole globe to one standard. That's not practical and not necessary, mind you. Our systems can be agile and support all. So we do have DVB T2 and you know, DVB T systems in deployment all over the world. So so not a problem for us. We're happy to support whatever the regional requirements are.
Okay, so Bruce, GatesAir is experiencing a lot of international awareness now. You mentioned earlier about expanded global sales teams and more dealers than ever before, but can you talk us a bit more through GatesAir's global strategy and how it's helping more broadcasters around the world?
Yeah, we think there's a place internationally for a company like GatesAir. Obviously, we're a US-centric company, but in our previous incarnation as part of Harris, we've always been a global company in terms of the markets we reach. We think there's a place for some larger players. We've been around for the better part of 100 years. We have a very healthy balance sheet. We've got stability, we've got history, we've got heritage. I think one thing we see when we look at the international markets is a lot of smaller players, a lot of, I would call almost boutique players. And so we're the alternative for a broadcaster that wants to secure their network with equipment from a tried and true vendor, one that they know is going to be there tomorrow, and one that has a very sophisticated after sales support capabilities. So we think we offer an alternative. We don't think we're the only answer in town, but we think scale brings certain advantages, and we like to think our broadcasters, when they deploy GatesAir equipment, they can sleep at night. They're not worried if their vendor's going to be there tomorrow, because we're going to be here for a long time to come.
Okay, so let's talk radio. So radio is also seeing a lot of digital life with DAB, DAB+, HD radio, DRM, and more overshadowing their analog counterparts. There also seems to be a growing trend of countries that are considering or planning analog shutdowns. What does the future of radio look like to GatesAir, and what are you doing to help shape this future?
Well, again, as with TV, we tend to be protocol agnostic. We support the major standards, so DAB and DAB+, the HD radio. We're deployed in many markets all over the world. Surprisingly, there's still an awful lot of analog radio shipped today. So while everyone talks about the digital, there's still a lot of analog AM and FM systems shipped and deployed worldwide. But we're happy to ship either or. The here in the U.S., it's most of the market for us is in FM, analog and digital flavors of it. We continually are innovating on our product, driving a lower cost per watt of power delivered. Thermal factors. We have liquid cooled FM transmitters for with the future now of cost of energy and so forth. There's some advantages to liquid cooled. And then on the DAB front, we had a product line, but through our acquisition of Onetastic, we pick up some additional DAB products in lower power space. So we have a more complete portfolio. So we're pretty excited about the radio business. It tends to be a more stable business for us. It doesn't have some of the ups and downs we see in the TV business. So we're pretty excited about the prospects. Obviously, we're hearing the same things about analog shutdowns. There's logical and obvious reasons to do that, but these things always take a little longer than you think. But it's happening. I think Europe's probably one of the leaders in this space, but other parts of the world will continue to move in that direction too. You just can't avoid the efficiency, the spectral efficiency of digital conversion is just too much to not consider. So we're pretty happy about it. I know our radio business has taken a bit of a backseat the last couple of years as we've been talking almost exclusively about Repack, but that's now shifting as our business comes back into a more natural balance.
Okay, and so the industry is embracing the integration of IP into virtually every aspect of the broadcasting process. More than ever, this includes getting high fidelity signal safely from a studio to a transmitter, to a network of other studios, to streaming channels and more. GatesAir's Intraplex product line has been at the forefront of leveraging IP as a 21st century tool for signal transport. Can you tell us what's new with Intraplex?
Yeah, a very relevant question. I came from the telecom industry, as you might know, so I live this in the cellular industry, the mobile phone industry, in the signaling side. So I participate in that industry, moving to virtualized services, devices and network elements that were typically hardware-based. We're moving to virtual instances and cloud networks, and that took hold a number of years ago on telecom. And it's happening here now in the broadcast space as well. Our Ascent product that we announced last year is a virtualized instance of our traditional Interplex product. So it's moving more to a software-based, and candidly, some of our early adopter customers are operating it as a service bureau, software as a service deployment. So we're very much behind that. I think when you talk about IP protocols and the network, there's obviously a lot of innovation going in the IP protocol space for reasons well beyond broadcast. The entire world backbone is anchored to IP networks, and MPLS, VPN, and all these other technologies are being driven for really vast reasons. But when you come to the specific use case of broadcast, there are certain essentials: the integrity of the signal, time delays, and quality of service, security. And these are where, with our Ascent product and our Interplex line, we're able to layer some things on top of IP protocols to harden the signal and fix some of the impairments that these networks naturally have, so that they're essentially invisible to the end service. So it's some of the innovation, some of the long-standing innovation we've had with Interplex is just carried over into the IP space. And so we feel we add value on top of IP as opposed to an alternative IP. We add increasing value, and we've traditionally been an audio transport solution, but increasingly we're looking more at some video capabilities as well. So we expect our product has some significant legs here as we shift it more into the virtualized space and more into video.
Mm-hmm. So Bruce, the coronavirus pandemic has created massive waves in our economy, our way of living, and also plans for the future. How is GatesAir coping with the pandemic, and what are the biggest challenges that you see for broadcasters moving forward?
Well, it's been difficult. I'm sure all the people you're meeting with would say the same. The problem is you don't have a reference point. You can't go back to the prior time something like this happened and say, well, what did we do in that case? Let's do the things we did well and avoid the things we did poorly. There is no reference case. I actually was struck by the coronavirus, and I'm a survivor, so I'm happy to say I had it and recovered. So not every story of someone who's inflicted is a sad one. It probably wasn't the most pleasant few days of my life, but I lived to tell the tale. We've had to do a lot with our business. We were categorized as a essential service under the definition in the U.S. So that permitted us, and arguably it required, that we stay open because broadcast networks are deemed as critical in these kind of crises. So we have kept our business open. We've obviously modified the way we've kept it open. We've implemented a number of workplace health and safety kind of measures, distancing, sterilization, cleaning protocols. Here in the office I'm at today, while I'm in my personal office, I'm not required to wear a mask, but when I'm out in the hallways or traveling the building, we required one wear a mask. And we try to avoid doing a lot of face-to-face meetings, and in favor of meetings such as this, Zoom or other platforms, to virtualize the meeting so that there's less physical contact with people. It takes some of the personal touch away from the existence. It's not quite the same as being there, but it's probably going to change the world forever to some degree. Maybe not quite to the degree we're having to deal with it today, but I'm sure there's going to be some continuing trends well after this is a vaccine's found and the solutions in the rearview mirror. I think there'll be some lasting changes to how businesses operate, and hopefully they'll all be for the better. And but it has been a challenge, I would say. We've managed, our business has done well through it, but it's not been without its challenges, for sure.
So I think one of the biggest changes that the industry is seeing, for an industry that's so event focused, is the cancellation of pretty much every single event that we would have been at, including IBC. So obviously IBC is not happening this year. What's the thing that you'll miss most from Amsterdam then, Bruce?
Well, it's all the trade shows. As you rightly point out, they've all been canceled. So NAB is a big one for us too. But IBC, that one's particularly, I enjoy that show. One, we see more of our international customers. It's a nice size of a show. It's not too big like some of the US ones that can, they just overwhelm some of the cities they're in. That's one of the things I like. What I'll miss, of course, is the interaction. It's always nice to check in with your customers that maybe you don't see every other day, or some of them that you might only see at the trade shows. And so you don't get that kind of direct feedback of the business. Some of the staff on our international, in the case of IAB, or IBC, I'm sorry, is they're a lot of them are international, and so we don't see each other every week in the office because they live many thousands of miles away from where I am. So it's also good to check in with the employees, and then people in the industry you get to know. I didn't mention them from telecoms, but a lot of former colleagues. We travel in similar circles, so it's a little bit like a homecoming whenever I go to a trade show. I see people that I worked with 10, 15 years ago, so that's always fun too, is to catch up and we compare who has more gray hair than the other, and we move on. So those are the things I'll miss the most. But hopefully we'll be back on track for next year, and get back to a little bit more normalcy.
Yeah, fingers crossed we'll be able to do this either on a booth or in a TV studio next year at a show.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Bruce. It's been great to chat with you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Nice to see you again.
You can find out more about everything we've discussed with Bruce today at GatesAir.com.